Oh, look at that lot. Oh, that is delightful. Come on in here on these dumplings. Look at these dumplings, fluffy inside, stodgy bottom where they've been stood in the soup. Hi everyone, welcome to Backyard Chef. I'm Rick. Today we're doing the meatless 1970s classic stew. Now, don't be fooled, it's not vegetarian, it is meatless. We're using a can of oxtail soup. Back then in the 70s, it would be Heinz. Okay, now you can use any soup for this, you know, if you can get all the oxtail soup, not a problem. We are using Heinz and we are using a Tora suet. Now, substitute for a Tora suet, straightforward substitute is butter. Just use butter. Okay, let's crack on and make this 1970s classic. And can you remember having it? Or do you still have it? Come on, let's get on. Right, we've got some potatoes, we've got some carrots, got some celery, we got an onion. Let's get on. So it's going to be very straightforward. Celery. Now don't forget, with this type of recipe, you just change out whatever you feel like, you know, it doesn't matter. They're not complicated, these recipes. In there. Okay, we got some carrot. The carrot's going to go in with the celery. I've got 2 carrots, but you know, again, you can use 1. Depends what you have. And this is one of those soups, you know, which is good for a fridge clearance. So it's nice little cubes of carrots. There you are, carrots. Now, can you remember growing up when you were a kid or whatever, you know, and I mean, when you were really ill, I don't want to put anybody off, there was always carrots. Always bits of carrot. I'm not surprised, there was carrots in everything when we were growing up. Onion. Well, a few cubes of onion. That's going to be flavouring our soup. In there. I've got the usual potatoes. Always using up everything around here. Right, we don't want that lot obviously, so take that off. And then we just want to cube up some potatoes. It's as simple as that. Now don't forget, it's going in a soup, so they don't want to be too big, but they want to be big enough. Okay, you want chunks of potato like that. Okay, straightforward. It's a nice straightforward recipe actually, very simple. I'm going in there with some butter. Now you don't have to use butter, you can use oil. In fact, you don't have to use anything. You can just chuck your veg in and boil it away, but I'm actually going to put a little bit of a fry on the onions. Going in there with our onion. We're just going to put a little bit of a cook on there and take the rawness out of the onion. Now recipes like this are open to seasoning of choice. I'm going to go in there with a little pinch of dried thyme. Nice little stir on. Ooh, that's a bit warm. A little bit of salt. Just to release that moisture, you know. A little bit of pepper. I always try and season early on. It gives you a chance then for all the seasoning to bloom in there and release the natural oils. You can always salt and pepper any time afterwards. Now the lazy way is to chuck all that in there, chuck all your soup in and some water and let it boil for 25 minutes. We want to get some flavour out of this. Carrots and celery. You know, I can tell you I've not eaten this in about 25 years. More probably. Probably 30 years. In fact, it could be longer than that. I just can't remember. Now what I'm going to do is splash a little bit of water in there. Not much. Just to help that on its way in there. Start to soften and cook it a little bit. Oh look, there's some flavour coming out of there, look. In there, potatoes. Just start them off. Okay, there's not going to be any cooking as such going on here. We're going to cook it with the oxtail soup in there. Okay, what you need to do is rinse that can, but we want a full can of water. So we're just going to give that a little rinse like that. That's going to give us that, and then we want a full can. 400 mils or whatever your can is. And then that goes in there. We give that a little stir in. And that is our meatless stew. Okay, we bring that up to a boil. We knock it down to a simmer. We simmer for about 25 minutes. Until you get a fork and you stick the fork in your potato and it goes in just. Then we add our dumplings. So we're going to get this going, push it to one side, and then we'll make some dumplings. Come on. Oh, there's a pan full of flavour there. Okay, knock it down to a simmer, and within that 20-25 minutes, 30 minutes, however long it takes to cook those potatoes, just come along and give it a stir. Okay, as you can see, the potatoes are taking a fork. So we will make some dumplings and put the dumplings in there. So in here I've got self-raising flour, I've got a little bit of salt. Now I'm going to put a little bit of pepper in mine. That's completely optional. And I'm also putting in a pinch of dried thyme. I'm making these herby dumplings. Give that a mix. Now I'm using suet, but you know, you use butter, not a problem. We bring this in just like you would making pastry. Nice and steady. Lift up and drop down through your hands. No, it's not creating any air or anything like that. It's just naturally dropping back in the bowl. You would do this exactly the same way if you're using butter. Just bring it in. Only about a minute, look. Right, we want to be going in there with some water. We want to bring it in, we're forming a dough. Now the dough doesn't want to be soggy and we don't want to overwork it. If it's too dry like this, we will be adding just about a tablespoon of water just to bring it in. So in there, just a little bit of water. So we got that come together there, look. That's nice and straightforward, isn't it? Now, there's no rocket science about this. We don't have to weigh it. We just want to split this into dumplings. And if you feel some are way bigger than others, just add a bit from one of the others. And as you can see, I'm not squashing them, I'm just bringing them together with my fingers and thumbs. So there you go, we've got some dumplings there, look, we've got 8 dumplings, nice and steady. Just wash my hands and then we'll put them in the pan. Take that off there. Give this a little stir. And we are in there with our dumplings. On with your lid. Let them steam for about 20 minutes. Okay, we've had our 20 minutes. Those dumplings have come up on there, look. Let's have a look. Look at those things. That is bubbling goodness right there. Oh yeah. Come on, let's serve it up. Oh yes, please. Oh, look at that lot. There we go, the 1970s classic meatless stew and dumplings. Come on. Oh, delicious. Oh, that is delightful. Come on in here on these dumplings. Look at these dumplings, fluffy inside, stodgy bottom where they've been stood in the soup. Fantastic. Red hot. You know, and over in America, what they say is they put a square of cheese inside the dumplings. Fabulous. Oh, you just can't go wrong with a meal like this. So easy, so light. You know it's got to be done. HP sauce. Wow, it's hot. That is delicious. Oh, there's a 1970s throwback right there. Delicious. So back in the day, you know, you would have probably had a couple of cans of soup in there to make a big pan of stew. But you know, prices have changed. Back then, it would have been very cheap against meat. These days, it's probably about the same price as meat. I've no idea, but it probably is. That is delightful. Really delicious. Well, there you go, a 1970s throwback. If you've had it or have it, let me know. Share with your friends, tell them how easy it is to make. And don't forget, you know, you can make it with any soup, really. However, it was made with that. If you like what we're doing, a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell. Catch you in the next video.